we are going to make a chicken stir fry today. One of the most common questions that I get asked all the time is how do we measure out a stir fry where we've got multiple ingredients in one dish? So I'm going to show you step by step how I would do this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Cronometer. I like to use Cronometer. You can use MyFitnessPal to track your food. In there, you're going to create a recipe. And as we deal with each food item, we're going to build that into our recipe maker, and then we're gonna tell it how many servings that we are making. So I'm gonna walk you through exactly how I would do this and how I would make a chicken stir fry. So the first thing I've got is chicken breast here. I'm actually going to chop this up, and I always use a scale to weigh everything out because that is really ultimately the only way that we're gonna know how many calories we're consuming. So I've got a scale here. I put my plate on the scale, and what I've done is I'm actually zeroing out the scale. So it's back to zero. So whatever weight that I'm putting on here for the chicken is just the weight of the chicken. So I'm gonna start dicing this up into small little cubes. I'm gonna weigh this out. So this is 330 grams. So now I am going into Cronometer. I'm gonna add my ingredient, which is raw chicken breast, and that's 330 grams. So that's about 400 calories, and that has 74 grams of protein. Now we're gonna start chopping up the other items that I wanna put in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put this big bowl on the scale. I'm gonna zero this out, and as I deal with each food item, I'm gonna put it on here, weigh it, and then add it to my recipe builder. So next, let's do some mushrooms. So now I've added the mushrooms. So this mushroom's about 103 grams. So I'm gonna add that to my recipe builder. It's about 103 grams, and I'm gonna add that to the recipe. Next, I'm gonna go on to the next item. So I want some celery in here. I'm actually going to zero out the scale again. So now this goes back to zero. So when I'm adding the celery to this, it's now only the weight of the celery. So let's see how much celery I'm putting in here. So that's about 112 grams of celery. I'm gonna add that to my recipe maker. Next, I'm gonna do some pepper. I'm going to zero out the scale as well again, and I am going to be adding the peppers. So now that's 124 grams of pepper. I'm going to add that to my recipe builder. The next ingredient that I'm going to add is some green onions. We're going to go zero this out again, and I'm going to add the green onion. 83 grams of green onions, so I'm going to add that. Green onion. I've got broccoli too that I've already washed and it's chopped up. We're gonna add broccoli. I'm gonna zero this out again. Okay, gonna add the broccoli, 183 grams. I'm gonna add olive oil, and we did 1 tablespoon, 120 calories. Let's do about 200 grams of brown rice because we've got a lot of calories for carbs coming in from the vegetables. So again, I'm gonna add 200 grams of brown rice to this, and we're doing 204, so that's about 28 grams. So that's everything in my recipe. Now, once I've built this up, it's gonna ask me how many servings is this. So I'm putting in here 2 servings, and then when I'm done inputting this recipe, it's showing me how many calories is in 1 serving. This meal is 450 calories. It has 45 grams of protein in total from everything that we've used, 39 grams of carbs, and then we have 13 grams of fat for this whole meal. Now I'm gonna save the recipe, and when I'm tracking my food for the day, I'm gonna go in and track 1 serving of the chicken stir fry that I've made. Now, at the end, to figure out how much 1 serving is, this is what we're going to do. So I'm gonna take all of this, and I'm gonna weigh it. So now, all of this together is 1,033 grams. So 1 serving, I'm gonna divide that by 2, is gonna be about 516 grams. So that's how you would figure out how much 1 serving of the chicken stir fry would be. I'm gonna take another plate, and I'm gonna weigh out 516 grams. So I'm gonna put on the plate on the scale. I'm gonna give this a good toss, and I'm gonna weigh out 516 grams. Okay. And there is your chicken stir fry. Enjoy.